What if the benefits you spent your entire working life earning, the ones you were promised, could be reduced, paused, or even taken away the moment you board a plane and leave the United States for good? That is not a hypothetical scare tactic. That is a real question that hundreds of thousands of American retirees are asking right now, in 2026, as more seniors than ever are choosing to retire abroad, and discovering that the rules around their benefits are far more complicated than anyone ever told them. Stay with us through this entire video because by the end, you are going to understand exactly which benefits follow you overseas, which ones stop the second you cross the border, and what the government has been quietly clarifying in recent policy guidance that every expat retiree needs to hear. Whether you are already living abroad, planning to move, or helping a parent who is considering it, this information could be worth thousands of dollars to you. Let's start with the basics, because a lot of people, even smart, financially aware people, confuse these three programs: Social Security Retirement Benefits, SSI, and SNAP. They sound similar. They are all federal programs, but they operate under completely different rules when you leave the country, and mixing them up could cost you your financial foundation in retirement. Social Security retirement benefits are what most working Americans think of when they picture retirement. You paid into this system your entire career through payroll taxes. For decades, money came out of every single paycheck you received, and it went into the Social Security Trust. This is not a government handout. This is a benefit you earned. And the general rule, the one that gives most retirees relief, is that Social Security retirement benefits can follow you almost anywhere in the world. The Social Security Administration, the SSA, has agreements with dozens of countries called totalization agreements. And in most cases, if you are a U.S. citizen retiring abroad, your monthly Social Security check can still reach you. That is the good news. But here is where it starts to get complicated. SSI is a completely different story. Supplemental Security Income is a needs-based program. It is designed for people who are elderly, blind, or disabled, and who have very limited income and resources. And unlike Social Security retirement, SSI comes with a very clear and very strict rule. You generally cannot receive SSI payments if you are outside of the United States for 30 consecutive days or more. 30 days. That is it. If you leave the country and stay gone for more than a month, your SSI payments are typically suspended. And here is the part that catches people off guard. They are not automatically restored the moment you come back. You have to be back on U.S. soil for 30 consecutive days before your SSI eligibility can be reinstated. That is a gap in income that can last 2 months or longer. And for seniors who depend on SSI as their primary source of support, that gap is not just inconvenient, it is devastating. Now let us talk about SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which most people still call food stamps. This one is the most straightforward of the three, and also the most absolute. SNAP is administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the USDA, and it is restricted entirely to U.S. residents. If you move abroad, not visit but actually relocate, you lose your SNAP eligibility completely. There is no grace period, no exception, no workaround. The program is designed for people living and purchasing food inside the United States. The moment your primary residence shifts overseas, you are no longer eligible. Full stop. So here is the picture as it stands heading into 2026. If you retire abroad and you receive Social Security retirement benefits, there is a strong likelihood, depending on where you move, that those payments continue. If you receive SSI, leaving the country for more than 30 days triggers a suspension of your benefits, and returning does not automatically flip the switch back on. And if you rely on SNAP, you will lose that benefit when you relocate, and there is currently no pathway to maintain it from overseas. Now here is where the conversation gets more urgent and more relevant to what retirees are actually facing in 2026. Over the past several months, discussions at the federal level have intensified around benefit integrity reviews, residency verification, and the use of data sharing between agencies to flag beneficiaries who may no longer meet eligibility requirements. Reports from advocacy groups and elder law professionals suggest that the SSA and related agencies are increasing the frequency of eligibility audits, particularly for beneficiaries living or traveling abroad. This is not a confirmed sweeping policy change as of this recording, but the signals are clear enough that financial advisors and expat communities are sounding the alarm. The environment around benefit oversight is tightening, and the retirees who are most at risk are the ones who were never fully informed about the rules in the first place. Let us walk through a real-life scenario to make this tangible. Imagine a 68-year-old retiree, let's call him James. James worked for 35 years, paid into Social Security, and receives about $1,400 per month in retirement benefits. He also qualifies for SSI because his other income and assets are limited, which adds roughly $500 to $600 per month. And he receives SNAP benefits that cover approximately $180 to $200 per month in grocery assistance. Combined, James is living on roughly $2,100 to $2,200 per month from federal programs. Not wealthy by any means, but manageable, especially if he moves somewhere with a lower cost of living, like Mexico, Portugal, or the Philippines. Here is what happens to James's financial picture when he makes that move. His Social Security retirement benefit of $1,400 per month likely continues, assuming he moves to a country that is not on the SSA's restricted list. More on that in a moment. But his SSI, that extra $500 to $600, gone the moment he has been outside the U.S. for 30 consecutive days. And his SNAP benefit of roughly $190, gone permanently once he establishes residency abroad. That is a reduction of approximately $690 to $800 per month, roughly $8,000 to $9,600 per year, in benefits that simply vanish. For someone living on a fixed income, that is not a rounding error. That is a life-changing financial hit that many retirees are not prepared for. And now let us talk about the countries where even Social Security payments are restricted. Because yes, this exists. The SSA maintains a list of countries to which it will not send payments under most circumstances. As of recent guidance, that list has included countries like North Korea, Cuba, and several others with specific political or legal restrictions. But beyond the outright banned countries, there are also countries where payment logistics, banking infrastructure, or treaty status create complications. Retirees moving to certain parts of Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, or Latin America have reported delays, interrupted direct deposits, and complications with international banking that can leave them without income for weeks at a time while issues get resolved. There is another layer to this that most people never think about: taxes. If you are a U.S. citizen living abroad, you are still required to file U.S. federal taxes. The IRS follows U.S. citizens around the world, and depending on your total income, a portion of your Social Security benefits may still be taxable at the federal level. Additionally, some countries have tax treaties with the United States that affect how your benefits are treated locally. Without proper planning, some retirees have found themselves paying taxes in two countries on the same income, which further erodes the financial advantage they were hoping to gain by retiring abroad. This brings us to what experts and advocacy organizations are increasingly calling the retirement abroad information gap. Millions of Americans are approaching retirement age with plans to stretch their savings by moving overseas, to countries where housing is cheaper, healthcare is more affordable, and the overall cost of living allows them to live comfortably on a Social Security income that would barely cover rent in most U.S. cities. The dream is real, the math often works. But the benefit consequences are frequently unknown or misunderstood, and by the time retirees discover what they have lost, they are already abroad, already settled, and already dealing with a financial shortfall they did not plan for. According to estimates discussed in expat financial planning communities and benefits advocacy circles, somewhere between 400,000 and 700,000 Americans currently live abroad and receive Social Security payments. That number is believed to be growing year over year, driven by rising costs of living in the United States, an aging population, and increasing awareness of affordable retirement destinations around the world. But within that group, a significant portion, estimates vary, but some reports suggest as many as 1 in 3, also receive or previously received some form of means-tested benefit like SSI or SNAP. And a substantial share of those individuals either did not know about the overseas restrictions or did not fully understand them before making the move. The financial consequences of that knowledge gap, multiplied across hundreds of thousands of people, represent a genuinely significant policy and humanitarian concern that has not received the mainstream attention it deserves. So what should you actually do if you are considering retiring abroad, or if you are already living outside the United States and you are worried about your benefit status? The first and most important step is to contact the Social Security Administration directly before you leave, not after. Not once you are already overseas and noticing payment issues. Before. The SSA has an international operations division and a dedicated phone line for people living or planning to live abroad, and they can walk you through your specific situation, what benefits will continue, what will be suspended, and what documentation you will need to maintain your eligibility. The second step is to notify the SSA of your new address and residency status. This is not optional. Failing to update your residency information is considered a reporting violation, and it can result not just in benefit termination, but in demands for repayment of benefits received while ineligible. The SSA has been expanding its data sharing relationships with foreign governments and international agencies, and the assumption that living abroad quietly means you are flying under the radar is increasingly outdated and risky. Third, and this is critical if you receive SSI, understand the 30-day rule deeply and plan around it. If you are someone who travels back and forth, who spends winters abroad and summers in the U.S., you need to track your time outside the country carefully. 30 consecutive days outside the United States is the trigger for SSI suspension, and that clock does not reset unless you are back on U.S. soil for 30 consecutive days as well. For people with family on both sides of the border, or for those managing health issues that require travel, this rule can create serious financial disruption if not planned for carefully. We want to pause here and ask you directly, are you someone who is either living abroad right now or seriously considering it? Have you already felt the impact of these benefit restrictions, or are you just now realizing that the rules are more complicated than you thought? Drop a comment below this video right now. Tell us your situation, what country you are in or considering, which benefits you receive, and what questions you still have. This community is full of people navigating these exact same challenges, and your experience might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear. The comment section of this channel has become a genuine resource for retirees helping each other, and we want to keep building that. Now, here is the closing reality check, and we want to be straightforward with you because that is what this channel is about. The rules we have discussed today are real. The SSA's overseas payment policies, the SSI 30-day rule, the SNAP residency requirement, these are established, documented, currently enforced rules. But the environment around them is not static. Federal benefit oversight is an area of active policy discussion in Washington, and the direction of that conversation in 2026 has been toward greater scrutiny, more frequent eligibility reviews, and tighter enforcement of residency and income reporting requirements. That does not mean panic. It means preparation. Staying informed is not just something we say at the end of videos to fill time. For retirees living on fixed incomes, where a single policy change or a single missed notification can mean hundreds of dollars gone from a monthly budget, staying informed is a financial survival skill. The people who will be least affected by whatever changes come next are the people who already know the rules, who have already had the right conversations with the SSA and with qualified advisors, and who are not operating on the assumption that what was true 5 years ago is still true today. If this video helped clarify something you were confused about, or if it raised questions you had not considered before, please share it. Share it with a friend who is planning to retire abroad. Share it with a parent who is already living overseas. Share it in the Facebook groups and expat forums where these conversations are happening every day. Information like this should not be buried. It should be reaching every American retiree who needs it. And you sharing this video is genuinely how that happens. Subscribe to this channel if you are not already, and make sure you hit the notification bell, because the policy landscape around Social Security, SSI, SNAP, and federal benefits for seniors is moving. And when something significant changes, we will cover it here first with the same straightforward, no-spin approach we brought to this video. You deserve accurate information. You earned these benefits, and you deserve to understand exactly what happens to them, no matter where in the world retirement takes you. The situation is evolving. The rules are real. And the best thing you can do right now, today, is make sure you know where you stand.